specific topic.
Okay. Yeah, vice versa.
Oh.
Right? Exploring, you're looking at multiple things to pick and choose what to learn. Right? Okay, good. Exploration is a very important aspect in life. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mukesh Vishwant, and I'm currently studying BTech CSC in Andhra University final year. So I am here for actually to know how does a startup work, the kind of things that the startup require, the kind of mistakes that people do in the startup, the kind of positive things that the people do in startups, and also to gain experiences from you people like very big who has a very big experience in how does a startup work and how does a what is actually startup required. And I'm pretty sure the guys who are sitting here will also help us to gain experience and the kind of and rectify the mistake if you have done anything wrong here.
Excellent. So, you summed up the entire theme of the course. Yeah, go ahead. You're saying something.
Yes, sir. I'm also pretty confident we can make good things here and also help us if we have any startup ideas or we might gain any startup idea here now through these 8 sessions and all. So looking forward for it.
Yeah, very important takeaways of what he mentioned, which is networking, finding people who have similar ideas or similar passion, right? It could be an idea generation thing or a co-founder or a co-promoter finding exercise besides friendship and all those things. So startups, important aspect of being an entrepreneur is networking, right? You go to any event with a networking opportunities because you don't know when you can meet people, and it is difficult to meet so many people and have a conversation, right? Unless there are forums like this. So in any events, that is the biggest thing. People go there just to hang around, see what's happening around, make new friends, and then grow as you move along. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. My name is Anil. I'm doing my MBA from BCMS Andhra University. I'm into this session for developing my business. Like I need to find solutions for many problems which I'm facing day by day.
So you're already an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm
a brief insights into what you do, sir.
Yeah, I'm into seafood business. So I do retail seafood delivery. So I do door deliveries of seafood in whichever quantity the customer requires. So we face lots of challenges because it is a perishable good. So we have challenges in procurement, then the processing, then even deliveries also.
And your current market is Vizag or beyond Vizag?
Only in Vizag.
Only Vizag. How long have you been in business?
For the last 5 years.
For the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Arts and seafood business?
Yes.
Your background is arts, you said, right?
No, now I'm doing my MBA now.
MBA you are doing, okay. What attracted you to this business?
Food adulteration.
Food adulteration?
Yeah. Actually, I made a study on food adulteration.
Okay.
The only food which can't be adulterated is seafood.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we can't do anything by jumping into the ocean. So that attracted me, and later on, like by academics, I was an instrumental engineer actually.
Okay.
And by profession, like I was a software engineer.
Okay.
Then now into this seafood.
So that's an interesting combination that you mentioned.
Yes.
Academics, interest, and now profession,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Remember these 3 distinctions, okay? Because ultimately what we do in life will not be what we learn in the college, right? And life always presents us many opportunities, which may be completely different from what we have learned academically, right? So there are different elements that will guide our journey, life journey. Not necessarily every experience is successful, but you can make every experience successful if you have an attitude to learn from every failure, right? So every attempt is definitely a successful attempt, provided you are learning from the failures. Yeah, we have 3 people here, so quick introduction.
My name is Geeta, and I'm pursuing BBA third year in Andhra University School of Economics.
Why are you here? You are aware of what entrepreneurs do? No. Yes. You are organizing things, or you are part of the... Okay, go ahead. Okay, so their attendance interested you to be part of. Good. Besides that, no other interest, right? Okay, welcome. Hopefully we'll learn from your interest. Yeah. Ramesh? Hemant, okay. Okay. Why are you here? To help the session go well or to learn something? To learn something. What do you want to learn? About entrepreneurship. You have idea about entrepreneurship? No. Okay, good. So there are people with lot of questions, right? But lot of experiences and expectations, I hope, right? Let's try to mutually connect, convert and learn. But the first thing that I wanted to share is a generic thing. Okay. Anyone are into book reading? Anyone heard about Stephen Covey? No? 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Yes? Anything that you wanted to share about that, insights that you got? If you remember,
No,
or recollect.
I don't remember actually.
Okay. So Stephen Covey is a well-known author of a book called 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. What he believes is it's our habits that will help us to become successful and repeat success, more importantly. You can be a one-time wonder, right? All our experiences, knowledge should help us to repeat success often. So if you have to repeat success, then you need to have certain habits that will help you to continue this winning run. And he talks about 3 important elements for someone to be successful at a ground basic level. Then he connects them to successful habits. What are the 7 habits? Then there is a different version of a 8th habit and other things. Okay. He does a lot of corporate programs where people from successful organizations participate. I was one of the few lucky ones who participated in in-person interactions twice with Stephen Covey because of my corporate journey with the company that I sold. And what he said is, there are 3 things that are very important for someone to be successful. First is knowledge, right? In our conversations, we heard this term knowledge. We wanted to gain knowledge about entrepreneurship and all these things. What is knowledge? Knowledge is about what to do, right? What is that? That you gain through your academics. That is because all of you are students. All your grinding from class 0 or pre-primary till the graduation or the post-graduation or this thing is to provide you knowledge. The book knowledge, the theoretical knowledge about what to do, when to do and all that stuff. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is skill. We also talked about skills, right? How is knowledge different from skill, or how is skill different from knowledge? Or both one and the same? Putting what into practice? Excellent, right? So you have a lot of body of knowledge, but how do you convert that knowledge into practice? For that you need skill, right? What are those skills? Name 1 or 2. Communication is one skill, and management is one skill, and adaptability, okay, and leadership, right? So ultimately, what we do is, at the end of the day, we are accountable for our actions, right? And how does our actions depend? It depends on the knowledge that we have, right? All the knowledge we have will help us to take better decisions, right? The knowledge should help us take better decisions. So decision making is an important skill, whether to go or not go, right? And that you take it because of the knowledge that you have. And once you decide to go, then it is implementation skills, right? Implementation skills, the communication, the leadership, all that is skills that will help you to convert your knowledge to walk towards the path of the decision that you have taken. So two things can go wrong. You can take a bad decision if you do not have good decision making skills. Or the second thing, if you do not have the right skills, you can also go wrong. Both of these can be learned, right? Decision making, you learn by experiences, you take a bad decision and again you recall and do it, learn from it and better your decisions, right? Like for an example, a doctor is there. On the day one, he cannot become a best surgeon, right? He will become a better surgeon after doing a lot of failures. We don't know how he handles it, okay? The other day, a friend of mine was telling, she was in an operation theater. The anesthesia guy didn't give the right dose of anesthesia. So she was aware of what's happening in the operation theater. And she narrated the story, right? What the doctors and the people in the operation theater were talking about. Pathetic. Okay? It's not a life on the operation theater. It is an experiment. They're just doing random experiments without thinking that what will happen to the patient. Okay, that story aside. Yeah. So, I think I lost the chain of thought. Yes, the skill, right? You have a knowledge to take a better decision, and then skill you acquire it. First, probably your hands are shaking when you are doing an operation. Then you will probably do a good cut, and then you don't know which to connect, which to stitch and all that. But with experience, you do it in a better way. That is the skill. You can learn that. But what will prompt you from acquiring the knowledge and acquiring the skill? There is an important element that he talks about, which he says is desire. Okay? One needs to have a desire which is inbuilt. If you have a desire, then what you pursue on the longer run may be completely different from the knowledge that you have or the skill that you possess. If you want to do something badly, automatically you will acquire the knowledge, you will acquire the skill. No matter what. Lot of Indians, they are very successful when they go out, is probably because of the desire. Okay? There are a lot of people who are probably working in a guarded boundary when they are at home. Right? They don't know what they really want. They believe that what their parents want is what is good for them. That's how we all get started. And then you probably join in a college because your dad said, your mom said, your uncle guided, your sir said or something said that you're good in maths, take this path and all that. And then during the college, during everything, it's a discovery process. And then once you join an organization, you probably think that, okay, this is what I can do well. And then later on, probably that effort is not giving the right result. And then you change the course and do something that you are good at it. Or at times, you may not be interested in doing the thing, but the opportunities are there in some other things. You latch on to it because survival is important. That's how we do. But if we are seriously desiring something, then you are just waiting for the opportunity to make that switch. Right? So what he says is, knowledge and skill, though they are very important, they will give you tangible outcomes. What drives them, what fuels them is the desire. Right? So desire is the fuel or the motivator that really helps you to acquire new knowledge, acquire the missing skills. And when I said acquire, that's an important word that I'm using not loosely. Acquire means anyone can acquire. Okay? You may consider me a good or a bad speaker as of now. But if you compare me with what I was 20, 30 years ago, I used to shiver. I never went into a college or a school speaking about some event. I was afraid to make eye contact. I was afraid to talk to 2 or 3 people. Forget whether they are smart or very intelligent. Even if I know they are dumb, I was afraid to talk because always I was judging myself, saying that maybe if I say something, they may treat me as a fool. I happened to visit one of the colleges in the US, an introduction program, and it was Darden University in Virginia. I tagged along with a friend, a senior, who joined an MBA program. I always wanted to know why people go to the US, how is that education system different. So luckily there was an introduction session where there were a lot of people, and there was a professor who was having a 1.5 or 2 hours of session talking about the MBA program. I happened to be a part of it. There were war veterans, there were people from the industry, there were security officers, there were housekeepers, a lot of people. So during that 1.5 years, I realized that asking question is not dumb. Sharing knowledge is not dumb. It is the first step towards learning. But because of my conditioning, I never asked any question. Whether I was confident or not confident, that's a different thing. But then again, it changed, it evolved, right? But when I started my own enterprise, for some of them who were not there, when I started my business, the startup business, which was probably, we had about 12 by 12 room with about 20 people working in that room with computers. The CPUs were large size that were making lot of heat, generating more heat. 20 people working in that, and an AC. I always say that the AC was making more noise than cooling. That was the atmosphere. But all my team members were putting in about 14 to 16 hours because we had a client commitment. And when I talked to them, I don't know what happened. I talked very well because I was talking from my heart. It was passion that fueled my language capability, and it gave me confidence. So it was there inside, but that triggered because of the passion, right? So if your desire is strong, my desire at that point of time was to express gratitude to my team members, to motivate them to do much better, and to bring them back tomorrow for the works, because that was very important for us, because that's a break or gain story. Because I was desirous, I had to pull out or throw away my inhibitions and talk to them. And from that day, I realized that whenever I'm talking to my team members, it comes naturally. So what is the switch? The switch is desire. So identify during your college times, early stage, what are you desiring to become in life, in future, right? And the key skill that we all need in life to be successful is decision making. We need to really take good decisions. How do you take good decisions? You take good decisions based on the knowledge, the experience. You're young, you may not have all the right experiences. By listening to someone's experiences, but having that intelligence to adopt which is suited for you or not. Don't blindly follow someone's advice, whoever it is. It can be even your mother, because there cannot be anyone in this world who can give who has a better interest for you than a mother or a father, right? I put a mother on the higher side because it's purely of emotion, right? Father probably takes a rational decisions, probably in my generation. In this generation, both of them are equally important, right? So rational decision is what helps us, for us to go and hit the world and be independent, right? So knowledge, skill, and desire is important. All these are important for you to take better decisions, right? And what is a good situation for you to be in? A good situation is when you have multiple options, right? And you can choose which option is good for you. And also have a backup option. If that fails, there is something. Some people say that don't have a second option, because always it will say that, okay, you have a fallback option, so you will not give your 100%. That's one book of thought. But again, as I told you that you need to take whatever I am saying with a pinch of salt, and adapt to your situation, right? So it's good to have options first. So first of all, you need to look at the options that are available for you. Most of you, except you, you're already in the career path, are probably at a situation where you are only exposed to limited options. Why I'm saying limited options is probably the best thing to happen for most of you is landing in a job once you complete your graduation, right? Job in the best company, lacks work conditions. This is probably the most important thing in everyone's life, right? How many people in this room are looking for jobs? Okay. How many people are looking at business? Okay, good. Decided? Only business? And all the people who said jobs decided only jobs? Yes or no? I'm asking you decided. Okay. So did you evaluate why job, why business? Okay. That's why I am getting into. And this session is an opportunity for you to understand why not entrepreneurship. Okay. Why only jobs? And for those who have decided to take job, who decided to become an employee, then the goal is to be a successful employee, right? So how can you be successful employee? What are the skills that are required? What is the mindset that is required for you to be successful? According to me, the lines are very blurred between business or a job, because the skills that you need are equally the same in job or in business. Gone are those days when people used to think that bank jobs are safe jobs, government jobs are safe jobs. 9 to 5 I can go, come back and not think about work. I can relax, do everything that I want, right? You don't know. Tomorrow if you are not delivering, banks are also not hesitating to fire. Government has stopped taking people, right? It is taking through outsourcing. Why outsourcing? Because they want to fire you at will. So all practices are now targeted towards a single objective of results. If you give them the right results, you can survive. Otherwise, be it a job or employment, it is one and the same. So now the question comes, why job? Why not business? Right? What is the difference? Is what we are going to discuss and debate. Okay? So, anyone want a break? It's 11:15. So 11:30 we'll take a break and then reassemble at 11:30 and then we'll continue till 1 o'clock. Okay? Thank you. I'll set up my system by then. also review that during this weekend. Srikanth గారు కూడా వస్తున్నారు కదా. శ్రీకాంత్ గారు. సో అందరం కూర్చొని వస్తారు. Good morning, sir. No problem, sir. Alright. Okay, sir. Alright. Okay. Okay. Right, sir.
మీరు ఇక్కడ
కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ బీటెక్ ఫైన్ ఆధార్ నెంబర్ ఫోన్ నెంబర్ ఆధార్ నెంబర్ సేపట్టి ఉంటుంది ఆధార్ నెంబర్ అవునా Okay.
You didn't go to college today?
I did
కాలేజ్ ఉందా ఎప్పటి నుంచి
స్టార్టింగ్లో కౌన్సిలింగ్
Get started. Okay, so probably Most of the people should be having this in your mind. If not, get this thought into your mind, because we want to drive the thought that jobs, business are not the only options that you can choose from, right? There is a question mark. What is that question mark is what you will get introduced for you to include in your options, right? That was a quick introduction about what entrepreneurship is about, right? I chose this video because it gives a lot of insights into what entrepreneurship is in a short time, right? But if you notice, this video is made by Intel, and this is dated in 90s or early 2000s. Okay, Intel is a chip manufacturer in the US. Why did Intel do this promotion about entrepreneurship at that point of time in the US? And US is now considered as the mega hub for startups and entrepreneurship, right? Because the corporate ecosystem, the government, the universities collaborated to build something that is on the lines of innovation, right? But why did corporates like Intel do this promotion for entrepreneurship? Intel is a chip manufacturer, right? So the major takeaway what they were saying is how entrepreneurship can help you contribute more to the family, more to the community, create jobs, and give your dreams and all that stuff, right? But why will a corporate do all this yarn? Okay, that's a long strategy. For that they need a lot of money, right? They want to sell their Intel chips, man. Okay. If there are no new businesses, there are new customers for buyers of computers, right? So they feel that this is a new avenue for them to increase sales. So the corporate really knows, okay, entrepreneurs are the people who can create value, not the job seekers. Companies create value, right? But if you need a new market, which is beyond a company, then it is entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people who want to start business, enterprising people, right? They start with at a low profile, and then probably they scale in such a way that they create jobs, they create wealth, they create a different economic ecosystem that will make the family or an individual thrive, but also the community and also the nation, right? So that is why Intel chose to do this as early as 91. Now let's so what is entrepreneurship in a nutshell? Okay. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't. Right? Most people. So that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Right? So you need to decide which side you want to be. The choice is spending few years of life in a very tough situation, so that in future you can live a life which normal people can't. So that is why you choose entrepreneurship. So there is a message here. The first years are going to be very tough, and if you are going to invest your time, then probably the rest of the life you can enjoy, provided you are successful, right? So take this thing as one of the reasons. And who is this gentleman? What company does he own? Reliance. Right? Okay. And Reliance value is probably much more than millions of Indians. Right? You know how he started? Anyone followed Dhirubhai Ambani's journey? Share if you know anything. Yeah.
He started from textile business,
Okay.
then petroleum, then he started oil refinery, and this oil refinery changed his life.
Okay. So you said the first thing is textile.
Yeah.
Before textile, what did you do?
Spices.
Sorry?
Spices.
Spices. Okay. Before spices?
At a
I
gas
don't know whether
station.
it's spice. Huh?
At a gas station or gas station.
What did
He
you
worked
do in
as
a gas
He
station?
worked as a clerk he worked as a clerk there.
Clerk?
At a gas station.
I don't know whether it is a clerk, but what I heard is person who was filling
Petrol.
petrol, gas in the Middle East. Okay, but all this happens in almost 50-60 years of our life, my life. Okay, but on the day when he was filling the gas in the gas station, he had a dream of owning a gas station at that point of time. And now his company owns gas reserves, right? So why? Go back to the earlier slide. He invested his few years on a lot of things which a normal person won't do. Finding a job, if he just stopped at finding a job, then he would have at the most become a supervisor in a gas station. But he was always dreaming big. And that's why he reached a stage where we are all talking about him on a boardroom. Right? So this is one aspect that you should be aware of. Who is this gentleman? Needs no introduction for this generation, at least, right? More importantly, because he is the founder of Infosys. Most loved, most aspired, and more importantly, most respected company and an individual, right? What does he have to say? You must remember that the only way to solve poverty in this country is to create more jobs. This requires entrepreneurship. How and why? If all of us in this room are becoming a job seeker, then who will be a job provider? Right? If few of us take the role of becoming a job provider, then others can become job seekers. So we are not putting a lot of burden on the existing corporates, existing government for providing revenue opportunities for us. So the country requires people to take the path of entrepreneurship. That's an important element, right? And coming from the wisdom of a person like Narayan Murthy. You know Narayan Murthy's story, right? How he built Infosys. And he proudly shares how he lived on the earnings of his wife, Sudha Murthy, right? You listen to some of the podcasts. The speeches of Sudha Murthy is very inspiring, right? How she helped his husband to become what he is today, and how she is more privileged than Narayan Murthy. She is now a member of parliament, right? For all the good work that she has done. by the Indian government on the importance of people taking up the path of startups. There is a distinction between a business and a startup. What is that? We'll try to discover in the next 1 hour or so. Okay. And this is also a predated version, not the latest one. 2020, right? We are in 2026. A lot of activity has happened since then. To an extent that, let's talk about 1 year, 2 years ago, our CM for Andhra is talking about one family, one entrepreneur, right? So now the country, the world, the country, the state is now focusing at a family level to nurture entrepreneurship at a family level, because in a family if there are 4 or 5 people, if there is one entrepreneur in a family, then there will be a lot of benefits. As a nation, we can grow and build something good. But what they've talked about, Startup India, Stand Up India, these are some of the interventions that are happening at the government level. Startup is to start. Stand up is, once you start, you're not like a baby. First they will crawl, right? And the next big thing is for them to stand independently on their 2 legs, not taking support of their hands. So Stand Up India is another initiative taken by the government to help people to grow. Similarly, there are a lot of activities that are happening around. You need to have your eyes and ears open. And here I want all of you to go back today and research on Professor Jhunjhunwala. Have you heard about him? Sorry? Not that Jhunjhunwala of stock markets. This is Professor Jhunjhunwala of IIT Madras. Okay, now it is IIT Chennai. They have started some research lab in Chennai. Okay, and that is the future of India's innovation, primarily big tech innovation. Go and follow that innovation center and Professor Jhunjhunwala to really understand what that man has done for the Indian innovation startup ecosystem. Okay. So these are some of the reasons why you should be choosing the path of entrepreneurship. Okay, besides enjoying the life that you want to achieve, like very few, provided you invest your best years in your life. Your young age is when you have the energy. It's okay to fail because you can catch up later on, right? There will be a lot of support system because you're still in a part of the family. There may be some other people who are willing to support. And if you find the right group, you can make a lot of difference. But besides that, the other reasons is if you have to decide this as an option, a career option, you can be an agent of change. Talked about social business, right? Social business is to be an agent of change, to do something different, to solve problems, right? Improve lives and change the world. Have full control over your destiny. Maybe a myth, may not be a myth. Okay, destiny, there's something that is written, but you can maneuver it the way you want. Make a difference. Serve as a role model. Have autonomy, freedom, and leave an impact. Okay, so this could be one of the other takeaways besides all the fancy stuff of entrepreneurship. So have it as a choice. Evaluate it, right? What are the pros and cons of taking the path of entrepreneurship? And what are the, if it is of interest, if it creates a desire in you, I am sure you will acquire the knowledge and skill, right? So first evaluate whether something of this magnitude is a desirable one or not. Okay, that's the important essence of me sharing this. Now, let's look into what the program is all about. Entrepreneurial mindset and ecosystem orientation is what we are going to share about in today's session. Okay. So, who is an entrepreneur is what we will cover, which is the mindset, spotting opportunities, problems as starting points, the AU ecosystem, the ecosystem that this wonderful university has built with IE Cell. It is Innovation Entrepreneur Cell. AHUB is the place that we are currently having this session, and beyond. Like, we are partners of this innovation system where we are doing some delivery. And then your pathway. You have now enrolled into a program called Ignite. Okay. Whoever is passing through Ignite, they have a fair chance of getting into the next program, which is called Proto Run. And then, if you are successful in developing a prototype, which is the objective of the Proto Run, then you can be part of the Innovation Entrepreneur Shell of Andhra University and connect to AHUB. Right? A lot of people who are working here are entrepreneurs who have moved before by having an ideation stage and then building an MVP prototype and then getting their first set of customers and now looking for the big league. All this can happen in this campus, in close surroundings. This sort of ecosystem was not available during our times. Okay, but you are presented with this opportunity now. So we are just giving you the awareness of what is available here for you to choose. Whether you want to eat dosa or pizza or a burger is your choice, right? Whether you want to go to a movie, a beach, or attend entrepreneur talks. Whether you want to watch a Pawan Kalyan cinema or probably participate in a hackathon. These are all choices that you need to make, right? Not an easy choices. Winning over vices is not easy at this age, right? But if you have the direction set, the compass, then you will have a desire, and everything that is otherwise not connected to the goal or the destination will not be of interest to you. You're always fueling your desire, you are acquiring knowledge, you are acquiring the skills. And then, what will be your first output is entrepreneurial intent statement. What is the intent statement? You are committing yourself to walk the path of entrepreneurship, right? It's just an experiment that you want to try out. If you are feeling happy about it, then you may continue or decide to opt. If you decide to continue, you can be part of your ecosystem that is well placed above you. Like you are joining a school which has an intermediate degree, PG, and also a job, right? Everything is connected here. This is available for you. We want to make your journey easy, comfortable, with lot of support system. So whether you want to take that path or not is your decision. So, as we said, there are 3 paths, right? Employee, business owner, and an entrepreneur. We have made a distinction between a business owner and an entrepreneur. Here we are relating entrepreneurs to a startup. Otherwise, probably business owner is also an entrepreneur, right? Anyone who starts or runs an enterprise can be an entrepreneur. But a startup is something different. What is that thin line of difference or the major line of difference between the 1 and a 5 zeros is what we will try to understand today. But same goal, which is to earn money, but very different realities. Okay? So as an employee, what you will get? You will get a fixed salary, probably increments every year, leading to a promotion, or if you are performing very well, you will get a midterm increment, right? In order to get a major movement, you have to switch companies or switch continents. That's when you can get growth. Working in someone's system, limited upside, but limited risk. That's what we presume, but it is not so. Defined roles and hours, 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 2 to 10, 5-day week. I can plan for weekends. But if you look into Hyderabad, which is a well-developed IT ecosystem, and weekends, middle of the night, people are always on the phone, attending to calls. Why? Your work is extending beyond the working hours. That's the reality. Job security, that's what you usually presume, but you are hearing these days a lot of pink slips, layoffs being given. One of the major reasons being AI, right? Economy not doing well, war, all that stuff. So the company is not doing well, you are at a risk, right? So this is a reality in employee. But we have put it in blue still. Okay. The second is business owner. What does business owner do? He earns from operations, like he was doing. He procures material, he probably processes, and then he sells. Those are operations. The difference between procurement and the operational cost and the sale price is the different profit, is what he will be earning. Then he runs a stable local model. This is a region, the market is limited. Risk is real, but there are guardrails, there are boundaries to it, right? And then may not scale beyond a region. And revenue tied to personal hours. He might be a true example. How many hours he spends into his business is something he only knows. Definitely not 9 to 5, right? So this is the option that is available as a business owner. And what is the third option, which is entrepreneur, other synonym that we are using it for, startups. Okay, earns from value created. The essence is value. Builds scalable systems. Value through scalable systems. High risk, high reward. Right? What is high risk and high reward? If you go back to the slide that we saw, investing few years, not like everyone. And the reward is enjoy, not like anyone else. Right? That is the high risk and high reward. Seeks product market fit, which means you are creating value by offering a product or a service that has demand in the market, right? So product market fit is an important terminology that you need to be aware of. Don't think of developing something for which there is no demand, right? Because we are in the process of value creation in startups, and then obsessed with growth and impact. What is obsession? Obsession is ఎలాగన్నా సాధించాలి. చిన్నపిల్లలు సాధిస్తారు, రైట్? ఇందులో రూమ్లో చాలా మంది చిన్నపిల్లలు ఉంటారు. మీ పేరెంట్స్ దగ్గర సాధిస్తారు. I remember when I was a kid, I was in class 9th. I was a big fan of Superstar Krishna. You are aware of who Superstar Krishna is? He's Mahesh Babu's father. Okay. My father and my brother were fans of NTR. One day, both the films released. I wanted to go to Superstar Krishna's movie. My brother wanted to go to NTR. So I was after my dad to get this tickets. Poor guy, he tried, but he couldn't get it. So we had to go to NTR movie. I didn't go to the movie. I was crying the whole night with an intention to get the ticket at least the next day. That is obsession, right? So a startup founder will have that obsession. He wants to get this done anyhow, okay? And an example that I want you to witness while you are here in the next few days is Vinay. You know who Vinay is? Who made this happen, right? He joined as an intern here. You see his obsession. He's a go-to person. You tell him something, he'll get it done. He will say yes. He doesn't know how to do it, but he'll say yes. And then he will acquire the knowledge, he'll acquire the skills and get it. And I'm spotting this boy since a couple of years. I know he will go to places, right? That is the obsession. But a lot of students from this campus are doing a lot of other activities. He's doing something which is meaningful to the student community. And he will thrive. Okay, just look around in your place. There are people like Vinay whom you need to spot. But you can be one among them if you desire. So who is an entrepreneur? I could have talked about these slides a lot, but I think in the introduction I covered a lot of things. So I'm just navigating through this just to leave you with the takeaways, right? Who is an entrepreneur? It is not a personality type. It is a set of skills, habits, and choices that you make. That will make you, whether you are an entrepreneur or a business owner or an employee, right? What are the skills and habits that you need to start focusing? The first and foremost is called problem spotter. All our life, since we are born, we were told to avoid problems, right? Otherwise, a kid who is just born, he will go, ఒక స్నేక్ వచ్చిందనుకోండి హ్యాపీగా వెళ్ళి దానికి తెలియదు కదా పాము కసేస్తుంది హ్యాపీగా ఆడుకుంటాం బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఫ్రెష్ క్లీన్ స్లేట్ డజంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ బట్ యాజ్ అ పేరెంట్ విల్ సే ఓ వద్దు నిప్పు ముట్టుకోవద్దు అది ప్రాబ్లం అది పూచి వెళ్ళొద్దు రైట్ ఇన్ దట్ వే వీ హ్యావ్ బీన్ కండిషన్డ్ టు స్టే అవే ఫ్రమ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ బట్ ద మైండ్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ అన్ ఆంటర్ప్రెన్యూర్ ఈస్ he looks at problems as an opportunity and he'll have an eye for problems. There are people around, you could be one of them, who are trying to solve problems that are for your family or for your friends or for your classmates or the college or the organization. So they are the guys who spot problems. Sees unmet needs where others sees inconvenience. We are happy living in a space of inconvenience, but we are not trying to solve that problem. Right? So, but there are some people who don't want to live in inconvenience. They want to make a difference, make it easy, which is a problem solving. So they are not only spotting the problem, but they are also solving a problem. So spotting and solving is important. Second is value creator. What do you mean by value creator? Build something people find worth paying for. Worth paying for is an important element. You have to build something which is fulfilling a problem which is of inconvenience to a set of people that they are willing to pay. That is how you create a value. Right? Take an example of a Swiggy or an Ola. Why are they making money? They know how to monetize to help you build a solution where they are solving a problem. What is the problem that they solve? They solve the problem of getting food to your doorstep, getting a vehicle to the place you are at the least amount of time. Right? and for which you are willing to pay that little extra. Initially you were not. But they tuned us in such a way that today unknowingly we are paying a lot of money to them. Right? So that is the value creator model. And the third, risk taker, acts despite uncertainty, but manages risk smartly. What is this aspect? Acts despite uncertainty, which is there are few people who want to take the first step only if they know what this first step is leading to. Right? They want to look at Google Maps, they want to see whether the traffic is less or bad, how is the road, all that, and then want to take that first step. There are some people who will start their journey and in the process look at Google Maps and also probably talk to someone. If the goal is to reach the destination, they will find their way to go there. So they are not hesitating to take the first step. So walking ahead with minimal information or not full information is one of the important trait or habit that we need to develop. That is risk-taking ability. Risk is known risk, unknown risk, right? If you avoid taking risks, you are not progressing. And the example that I quote often is, what is the biggest risk that we all know for sure that's going to happen in our lives? Right? You know that all of us will die, but are we not living every day? Right? When we know that is the certainty thing, we are making every day to live better way, so that we postpone our death or probably die peacefully or comfortably, right? When we know the biggest risk is evident and happening and still want to do lot of actions, can't we do it in the path of water pressure? We can, right? But we need to know, we need to get the information, we need to get the knowledge, we need to get the skill, but more importantly, the passion to do it. So that is what it is. You need to have the risk-taking ability to become an entrepreneur. Team builder, very important, because they say that you cannot walk long if you are alone, right? If you want to go for a long journey, you need to have people around. And for a startup, it is very difficult because in the initial stages, you will not have money, right? Or you will have money, but your needs are much more. So you need passionate team members. In the example that I told about 12 by 12 room with 20 people working, all those people at that day were not working for the salary that we were given. They were passionate to become successful. Because in a week, there was a client coming from US and they wanted to stand tall and be proud of their achievement. The money was the sidelines. And all those 20, probably not all, almost 80% of those people who were there on that day, today are owning enterprises or heading divisions or working in big corporates. Where they started was different, but where they are today is something unimaginable. I didn't think that that was the takeaway at that point of time. I was only trying to make money, tax-free money. That was the only fruit. But what we realized is we built a strong community of people with burning desire. So that's what happens if you are having the skill of mobilizing people towards a shared mission. A mission should be shared. And if it is not shared, you will not have passionate people working in an organization. You will be just having people working for salary, right? So you need to have team building skills and change maker. You need to solve real problems that improve lives. The social business angle, all this has to be a common thread. You're not just doing to accumulate wealth. You're not just doing to live the life king size. All rich people What are they now doing? They're now into a lot of philanthropic activities. Because after some point of time, they know that money doesn't give everything. They are the change makers. They want to improve lives. If you look at Narayan Murthy Garu, his driver was also a shareholder in Infosys. So he also made crores of rupees when Infosys grew. And probably the satisfaction he has, seeing his driver probably living in a villa, may be worth millions to him. Because that is the transformation that he was able to make. So that has to be an inbound thing, and it will happen. And the last and very important is resilient learner. We all need to come with an attitude to learn. Learn from every interaction, every conversation, every opportunity that is presented to us. I didn't walk into the room to teach you something. I walked into the room to learn from you because your experiences are different from mine. If I don't have that attitude, I'm not fit to be here. So, fail fast. This is another important aspect. By fail fast, what do you mean is you need to try and you're okay with failure, something that came up in our conversations, right? Learning from failures. And then learn fast and then keep going. So these are the traits or habits that one entrepreneur need to have. If you have them, you can readily jump into it. If you don't have them, you can acquire them. You can nurture them, provided you have the desire to become an entrepreneur. So, this is a 5-minute reflection for all of you. Okay. So, the first question, you can read it on the second page. I think there is some space. Everyone is supposed to complete this worksheet by the end of this session. Okay, this is going to be the intent statement that we talked about. Okay, on the second page, you try to list out, have you ever spotted a problem and thought someone should fix this? Just say yes or no. If so, then write it for yourself. You are not going to share it with us. Okay. That is your internal journal. Just to trigger the thought of what a problem spotting is all about. The second is, when things go wrong, do you look for someone to blame, or you find a solution yourself? Just note it down. The third one, are you comfortable not knowing how things will turn out? Just, do you need all the information for you to take the first step? We are just leading towards identifying whether that trait or habit or skill is what you possess or not, as of now. The fourth one, do you find yourself thinking about how to make things better? It could be a simple thing. It could be at a dinner table in your house, where you are a family of 4. Every time it's your mom who is putting the plates and laying the food. Are you making a difference by helping her? Are you doing something different? It could be as simple as that. Or your dad going out to office. Are you doing anything to make him feel better? Are you improving? Are you changing the way that things are making progress? Or are you okay with the status quo? It's something that you can write it down. It is just a reflection, okay? And then, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? The last thing is, you are assured of anything. you are blessed with that divine blessing, where మీరు ఏది తలుచుకుంటే అది అయిపోద్ది అనుకుంటే, what is the thing that you would do? One thing that I keep asking people, సడన్ గా దేవుడు వచ్చేసి ప్రత్యక్షం అయిపోయి 1 minute లో నీకు ఏం కావాలో అడుగు అంటే ఏం చెప్తాం? అది మనకు తెలిసి ఉండాలి. ఆలోచించుకుంటే నాకు ఇదే కావాలి అని చెప్పాలి. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ బిగ్ ఎన్కంపాసింగ్ థింగ్ దట్ వీ వాంట్ అంటే అంత ఫోకస్గా ఆలోచిస్తే ఏం చేయాలి? నాకు డబ్బులు కావాలని అడుగుతామా? నాకు మంచి హెల్త్ కావాలని అడుగుతామా? నేను హ్యాపీగా ఉండాలని అడుగుతామా? నేను ఎప్పుడు ఫెయిల్ అవ్వకూడదని అడుగుతాం? ఏం అడుగుతాం? వాట్ ఈస్ ద వన్ థింగ్? సో అది ఆలోచించుకుంటూ వెళ్తే మీ గోల్ డైరెక్షన్ మీకు అర్థమైపోతుంది. సడన్గా వచ్చేసాడు ఎవరు మీ పక్కనే ఉన్నాడు, ఈవిడే దేవత అనుకోండి, వచ్చేసింది, ఎస్ ఐఎమ్ గివింగ్ యూ 1 minute, ఐ విల్ బ్లెస్ యూ వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ నీడ్, ఆస్క్ మీ జస్ట్ వితౌట్ హెసిటేషన్, విత్ క్లారిటీ. ఏం చెప్తాం? అయ్యో ఇది అడగాల్సిందేమో ఇది అడగాల్సిందే ఇది అడగాల్సిందేమో అని ఆలోచిస్తాం. అలా కాకుండా ఏమైనా ఉందా? ద లాస్ట్ థింగ్ ఇస్ లీడింగ్ యూ టు దట్. వాట్ వుడ్ యూ డూ ఇఫ్ యూ న్యూ యూ కుడెంట్ ఫెయిల్? And you're not, no need to share it with anyone, it is just for your internal journal. There are biscuits and cookies before you. You can have them while you are attending. I cannot have it, but you can. Right? Okay. Now, let's look into mindset. Right? What is this mindset? Everyone, how we think, yes, and how we think probably is a very important step, because if you connect it to the decisions that you take in life, right, it all starts with how we think, right? How you look at a situation is what has a different impact on the results that we get, right? If you are looking at problems as something that you want to avoid, then there is a different way. If you are looking for problems, inviting problems or embracing problems, then your approach towards life is different, right? Thinking will result in actions, right? What we think is to decide how to act, because what we get is because of what we do, right? And how we act. So one should be responsible for their actions, right? If you are doing something and say that I have done this because of someone else, that's what most of us do. We will find excuses for the results, especially when we are not getting the right results. We will say that, okay, it is because of my friend, it is because of my father, it is because of my teacher, it is because of my college that I am unable to do. You don't own your actions, right? And a story that I can relate to. While I was a kid in school, there were 3 sections, A, B, C. I got probably 25th rank or something in the class of 45. And then I used to go to a tuition. So my tuition star scolded me. He said, "Sir, what man 25th rank? I thought you'd come in the first 10. And I said, "Sir, I am 21st in this section. But if you look into the other section, I will be in top 3. He said, "Doesn't matter. You are blessed to be in this section. Because if you are in that section, you will never grow. Here, you are at least having a different benchmark." Right? What I was looking at is an excuse, looking at the people around me for my performance. And then he told me, you have to be a competition for yourself. Are you a better version of yourself than yesterday? Don't compete with someone X, Y, Z. Their situations are totally different. Am I improving or not? I might fail, but am I getting the pass mark now? Am I the topper next year? That is the growth path. And I have recruited so many people. And one of the things that I look at is, are they in the growth trajectory or not? And I have seen people who are very intelligent, but they are not on the growth path. It is not important where you are coming from yesterday. It is important what you are doing today so that your tomorrow is better. Right? So, owning actions is important. But we also need to realize that we are not only responsible for our actions, we are equally responsible for our reactions. Right? Because a lot of times you don't take the first step. You react to some situation. So you need to be having control over how your reactions are. And the third, equally important, is your inactions. You're not reacting, you're not acting. You're just staying calm. Right? All these three will have an impact on your progress. So be aware that you are responsible for your actions, reactions, and inactions. But how will we change the do, which is the actions or reactions or inactions, so that you get the results of all these three is how you look at things. So Stephen Covey says that there is a cycle called as see, do, get. He says that if you are not getting the result that you aspired for, it is not just important for you to focus on your actions, reactions, or inactions, but try to see how you are viewing the things. The see, the vision, the initial thought, the thought process is what is important. You need to change at the root level. And once you change at the root level, your actions, reactions, and inactions are different. And that will lead to a different result than what you are getting if that is not what you are aspiring for. Okay, so that is what is mindset, the way we look at things. It is less about what you know, more about how you see the world, right? And what are the traits that you need to have? Curiosity. What is curiosity? Who is most curious? At what age are we more curious? Child, right? You don't hesitate to ask any questions. Amma, identi. Let's not go. Pasapetta, yedo adutuna. Our curiosity as we progress, adagatam manestam. We think that we know everything. Then what will happen? You're not clarifying. You're not clarifying, how will you progress? And another thing that will change with age is we stop smiling. Right? ఉన్నప్పుడు అసలు మా పిల్లల్ని చూస్తే మనకే స్మైల్ వచ్చేసి అంత కోపిస్టోడని అలా చూస్తే అవుతూ బికాస్ వాళ్ళకి న్యాచురల్ బిహేవియర్, వాళ్ళకి ఆకలిస్తే లేకపోతే నిద్ర రాకపోతే వాళ్ళు నవ్వుతూనే ఉంటారు. మన ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ ప్రాక్టీస్తో వాళ్ళ ఫేస్ ఇలా నవ్వుతున్న ఫేస్ ఇలా ఇలాగ అయిపోతే టు ఎన్ ఎక్స్టెంట్ దట్ వీ ఫర్గెట్ స్మైల్ అనేది ఒక ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్, అది ఫోర్స్ఫుల్గా తెచ్చుకోవాలి అన్న స్టేజ్కి వచ్చేసాడు. ఓకే, సో రియలైజ్ హౌ వీఆర్ చేంజింగ్. But more importantly, you need to have the curiosity. What is curiosity? It is to ask why something works and why something doesn't work. These are very important. Don't take things as status quo. And then The best ideas come from genuine questions. So why is an important thing that you need to remember. Start question. Why? And get clarity. Second, empathy. Understand other people's pain. Empathy is a different word. It is not sympathy. Empathetic is able to put yourself in their shoes and understand the way why they are feeling so. And if you are trying to solve that problem, then having empathy is a very important element, right? So you can't solve problems you don't feel. But as an entrepreneur, you are here to solve a problem that you probably are not feeling today. Someone else is feeling. So for that to have, you need to have this important trait of empathy. What it is, what are the examples, dig. And then the third thing, bias to action. This is what I talked about, which is take small steps before you have all the answers. You should have the ability to walk in the dark. Naturally happens kada meeku light lana aapese anta chekadu untundi. You think everything is dark. Either you can close your eyes, assume that it is dark, I cannot walk, or open your eyes, and then slowly you are able to see things, right? And you can make your own way. That's what happens. You need to get accustomed to a habit of taking small steps towards the direction that you want to progress. That is called bias to action. And through that process, you will start, instead of staying where you are, and with every move, you know, కింద పడిపోతే కాలు ఇరుగుతాయి. సో కింద ఇలా అడుగేసే ముందు ఏం చేయాలో మీరు నెక్స్ట్ స్టెప్ వేసే ముందు ఆలోచిస్తారు. ఇలా అనుకోవడం ఇది వదిలేయకుండా, దిస్ ఈజ్ లెర్నింగ్ అండ్ దెన్ అడ్జస్టింగ్. అది వేయకపోతే యూ విల్ నాట్ లెర్న్. సో టేకింగ్ స్మాల్ స్టెప్స్ ఈజ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ aspect of an entrepreneur mindset. And then comfort with uncertainty. This is also connected with bias to action, which is you won't always know the path ahead. Each step shows you the next one. And the fourth is also linked to what we said about team building, which is collaborative spirit, which is this helps you build that shared vision, right? Shared vision can only happen if everyone in the team believes that everyone has an important role to play. And the success is not just for the person at the top, it is at an individual level, right? So no one succeeds alone. Team with diverse skills build better solutions. That's why I was fascinated when I heard people from different backgrounds coming in. And the college is one such beautiful place where people come from different backgrounds, different families, different mindsets, and here we are all collaborating together, and the fear of failure is less, right? And if there is a good ecosystem around, why don't you take opportunity of this, use it to your advantage? And the last and a very important step which I was talking about is ownership. At a personal level, you need to take ownership of your actions, reactions, and inactions. But you also need to take the choices that shape your results. For you to choose, you need to know what are the options, right? Have many options around, and this generation, the biggest challenge is you have too many choices, right? 24 గంటలు మనకు సరిపోతుంది. You have so many distractions, so many things that you can choose. So of that, you need to pick what is relevant to you. Use a compass so that you are doing things that are towards your goal, right? And when there are too many choices, how do you select? The way I adapt is I know for sure that what I don't want, right? Elimination process. You eliminate, okay, this is not, that is something that will add up to anything. So I'm not looking at it. And then from 10, probably I'll identify to 3 or 5. And then from that 5, probably I'll say I'll choose the best 3. And then evaluate 3 and then pick up 1 and have second as a backup option. Right? So having choice is good, but selecting what is good is equally important. And for that, you need to have the knowledge, skill, and the decision skill, ability to do that. So, with this, probably you have a better knowledge about what entrepreneur mindset is all about, right? Which is entrepreneurship is a learnable mindset, not a personality you are born with. There is no one like a born entrepreneur, born leader, born doctor, born politician. There is no born entrepreneur. This is something that you can become if you focus and lay your attention. The second, entrepreneur differs from an employee and business owner in how they create and capture value. The difference is value creation. Okay, we'll touch upon it in the subsequent slides so that you have a better understanding. A startup is defined by scalability, uncertainty, and search for a repeated business model. Are this something that is not syncing with you now? Which is scalability. What is scalability? What do you mean by scalability? Sir is now doing a business in Vizag. He suddenly, probably, I'm assuming, taking a number, he is now serving 250 people on a daily basis. Suddenly, he has to serve 2,500 people. Not only from Vizag, but entire Vizag district. Does his business model give him that leverage? Suddenly, the 2,500 has become 25,000. It is not district Vizag district, but Vizag, Colombo, Middle East. Region expansion. So that is what is scalable, right? What Ola, what others have done is they have built a business model that is scalable. They can service not just 10 customers, but they have built a solution to service 10 million customers across regions, right? That is the difference of scalability. And how do you get scalability? You need to build some processes, right? And that is not easy. That is difficult. And what you need to do is what you will be learning in this 4 weeks. Not learning probably, that's a big thing. You will get insights into the steps that will trigger if you want to pursue it or not. Then, great startups begin with a real problem, not a cool solution looking for a use case. Here we are focusing on a real problem. Why a real problem? Because until and unless it is a real problem, people are not going to pay you money for the solution, right? If earning money is not an outcome of your entrepreneur idea, then it is not a business idea, right? So forget about scaling and making millions or living a life which very few have. You will not even have the basic things. If you compare with an employee, you will be going to an employee asking for loans. So why you will learn? So I'm now focusing on the important aspects of startups. What should be done for one to differentiate itself from a normal business to a startup? Okay, a startup is to provide a solution for a problem that is worth solving. Problem worth solving, which is what is nothing but value creation. So for that, what you need to do, you need to identify a pain point that enough people experience, not something nice to have. Because they only pay if it is a real pain point, then only they will pay. That is the first thing. And the second thing, The bigger and more frequent the problem, the bigger the opportunity. Right? If you look into Swiggy, Ola thing, in the initial days, they used to give rides for free. Right? Which means for every sale, they were making loss. Why do you call it a startup? If every transaction is resulting in a loss, even today, if you look at Swiggy or Ola, they are not making cash profits. They are still having operational losses. But the value that they have for the company is more. Why? Goodwill? Why goodwill? A loss-making company, a loss-making friend, will you give a goodwill or a bad vibe?
Make people addicted to
Addicted, and then later on, unethical practice is what they want to do.
playing longer game.
What is that longer game? What is that longer game?
Now they are building a plan that is relevant to them, which leads to something profitable.
Okay. So, long-term value. That's an important thing. In other words, in startup lingo, it is called LTV. Lifetime value of the customer. Right? They know that any person who is taking the first ride or ordering the first food, that will not be the only time he will order. It is the beginning of a journey which may be multi-orders. It could be 10, it could be 10,000, it could be 1 lakh. Right? Though they are not making money on the first few orders, they know that they have locked you in. And then you can continuously be a customer to whom they can generate revenue in future. Right? Now if you open a Swiggy app, it is not just food they are delivering. They are doing much more than that. They have the profiles of so many people, their locations, their ages, their preferences, right? Their free times. And probably they do a study and they find their aspirations. Now they are offering you training programs, they are offering you credit cards, they are offering you loans using these profiles. So it is not that the transaction loss that they were making. They know how to create value. That is what is LTV. Okay. So for that to happen, you need to find a bigger problem and more frequent problem so that you are having repeated interactions with the customer. That is where you are having a more revenue opportunity. The second is scalable solutions, which I talked about. A way to solve it so that you can reach 1,000 or 10 lakhs people without proportionately increasing costs. How do you serve customers when you have to increase it by multi-fold? That is what is about system building. And I'm sure all of you have experienced it, but you have not evaluated it. Right? First stage of Swiggy and Ola, if there was an issue, you used to call customer care. Right? But nowadays what you are doing? Chat. Help. Right? There is a chat bot that is solving. Why? More scalable. Right? They have used technology to address to 10,000 queries without the need of engaging 10,000 people at the same time. Right? Less expense and better experience. That's what they're supposed to. But today, we are all desperately seeking to talk to someone. We need the human touch. Right? That is a new problem. So probably once you think that this is the problem and this is the solution, then this solution will lead to another problem. And then you need to find out a solution for that. So it is a continuous process. But it is important that you approach the solution in such a way that you have the capability to scale your business from 1 customer to 1 million customers. Right? That's what Amazon did. Amazon started off as a books, second-hand or rare books platform. Now they are doing everything under the sun in different continents, right? And whatever they started using it, and now it is a separate division and separate revenue opportunity. What is AWS? A bookseller. Why is he now into a web service? Because of his production and scale. He needed that competency. When he realized that that competency is there, it is a specialized thing. He is now siphoning it as a separate entity and creating more revenue opportunities. Right? That's what it is. And the third and most important thing, a business model. A clear answer to who pays, how much will he pay, why would they keep paying? Whatever product or solution that you're trying to build, you need to have a business model. Business model means you need to know how you want to make money, which means you need to know who pays, which is who your customer is. How much will he pay? What is the extent of pain that is going to? How much value that your product or service is offering? That defines the price that he will pay. And then, why would he keep paying you repeatedly? If you have these three answers, then that is a business model, a good startup idea, not a business enterprise. If you can't answer this, you have a project, but not a startup. So these are the differentiators between a regular business than a startup, a key difference. And a problem worth solving normally comes with something that is innovation. Right? Innovation is what is the foundation of any startup. Innovation is invention, right? You are doing something different than what is already in place. That is solving a problem. And that problem is so huge that people are willing to pay repeatedly to the price that will cover your costs. In a nutshell, that is a startup. But if you have to differentiate on certain parameters between a startup and a traditional business, these are some of the things that you can use, which is the goal with which you start an enterprise. In a startup, you want to achieve rapid growth and a scalable model. You know what scalable model is, right? Until unless it is a scalable model, you cannot get a rapid growth. But in a business, traditional business, you will get stable profit, you will be a local or a niche player. The market is limited. Here the market is wide open. And second, risk level, as you always know, startups is high and that is moderate. Probably because you do a lot of study. If I have to start a parlor, then what I will do, I will probably research and see where people are moving, where there is lot of footfalls, which sort of people are living there, what tiffins that I need to sell, or what should I have for dinner, that I will plan. And I will do a research and then go with known risks. But in a startup, you are walking in uncertainty, right? You are sitting in Vizag and then trying to offer a solution for someone overseas. That's what I tried to do earlier. When I started offering finance and accounting services, the trigger point was I saw my fellow chartered accountants friends who were doing some services for big corporates in India, ICICI Bank. They were doing loan processing, which means personal loans or house loans or vehicle loans. When someone applies through ICICI Bank, they collect all the income documents and then they send it to a chartered accountant. They review it and say whether this guy is a good case for giving a loan or not. I saw them doing it for people across AP, that was combined AP. Then I said, how you are doing? The application comes as an image, we look at the image, we look at all the income statements, and then we do some calculations, and we say, yes, this guy is good to give or not. That was the trigger point. I said, okay, if you are doing loan processing for ICICI Bank, why can't you do for American Express Bank in the US? That was the trigger thought. Then I approached my friends, they said that, yeah, we can do for anyone because the rules are one and the same. If not, we'll learn and we'll apply. Then I said, are you willing to process this? They said they are willing to do, but get our clients. I didn't know anything. I printed a brochure, went to the US, started marketing, talking to people, and then I discovered it was not as easy as it is. Because an image coming from the local place, an image coming from the US is a different thing. And the financial laws in US are different, the financial laws are different. And when I went for some transition, I couldn't understand the topography of US because I never traveled anywhere. I don't know what is this county, what is this school district and all that stuff. But I walked into a training room assuming that I am a specialist. Because my finance guys who were supposed to be the specialists didn't get a visa to go. I was the only person who had a visa. I stepped in as if I am a specialist. I walked into a room, into a training class, competing with an IITian guy from Aurangabad. Right? Fatullah College, BCom, MBA guy. How can I compete with IIT? But I told him I was a good actor then when I realized. First 2 days, I was talking something which was not making any sense. And then third day, I called a friend who sat me along with dinner and said that, Arey Babu, US lo counties and school district and idi manaki municipality lo, idi mandalam lo, idi parallel says like amma, oh, this is what it is. And the third day, I started building knowledge. And then we reached a stage wherein any person who was hired in the US for the loan approval process, their work was getting audited from Vizag. The other way around. That is the knowledge that we built. And all this was the learning experiences. So what helps is the collective wisdom, all the people's ability to go and explore uncharted ventures. So that is what is very important. And then funding. How do you get money for startups? What is grant? Do you need to return it? Okay. Normal double కావాల్సి ఏం చేస్తాం? ఏంటండి? బ్యాంక్ వెళ్ళి లోన్ తెచ్చుకుంటారు. ఓకే. లోన్ తెచ్చుకుంటే ఏం చేయాలి? ఇంట్రెస్ట్ పే చేయాలి, అసలు ఇవ్వాలి. That is loan, which is debt. Right? There is another way you can raise money. What is the other way? Grants and తెలుసా? You need not return back. Right? That is the beauty of a grant. Okay. Subsidy is reimbursement of a portion of your expense or giving it to you at a differential rates is subsidy. So if you need money, either you have to borrow. From whom you borrow is different, right? If you are borrowing from a bank, he'll ask you to execute a lot of agreements, right? If you borrow from your mother and father, what do? Will they ask for documents? They'll ask? Good parents should ask. Right? Because my father didn't ask. So I burned a lot of money. I wasted a lot of money because I didn't know the value of money then. Then I wanted real money. When I approached someone, they asked me 100 questions to give 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. But when my father ignored or questioned me why you need 10,000 for an excursion, I felt bad. My dad is questioning me for 10,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees I'm talking in 1989. It was a big money. For the question he asked, I felt bad. That is how I was pampered and raised. So if any parent is asking you why you need money, that's a learning for you to explain how you are utilizing the money, right? So the context here is, for a business, you can raise the money from personal savings, or you can go to banks and get loans, or take help from family members, which is there. But for a startup, no bank will give you loan. Your money will have to come from your personal savings, or friends and family, or through investors. And the fourth dimension is government, which is helping in the form of grants and subsidy. All this is available now. You said about Nidhi funds or something. That is a special seed fund that is being given for entrepreneurs. If you have a good idea in a selected domain, you present the idea, they're saying that, okay, we are giving to fund you this much. You turn your idea to a prototype. So it's all your idea that matters. And then the core thing is innovation. You must innovate. So the whole idea of solution should be of something that is not available now. So innovation is the core for a startup than a regular business. And innovation in traditional business is helpful, but not required. Right? There was one, in my school days, we had breakfast places, right? Then there came the first introduction of parlors. Right? Parlors ఏంటి క్విక్ గా వెళ్ళి తీసేసుకోవచ్చు. అలాగైపోతే క్విక్ గా టోకెన్లు ఇచ్చావు. బుక్స్ ఉంటాయి, బుక్స్ చింపేసి టోకెన్లు ఇచ్చారు, ఆ టోకెన్ ప్రజెంట్ చేస్తే ఫుడ్ రెడీగా ఉంటా, అక్కడ ఇచ్చాం, తినేసి వెళ్ళిపోయారు. Now there is a quick service restaurants, right? And there is a drive-through restaurants. What are those restaurants? You have experienced drive-through restaurants, right? You go in a vehicle, in a parking place, you stop, there will be a speaker and there will be a touch screen. You will make the menu, choose the menu, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go around. By the time you are around the place, your food is ready. You collect and go. You need not get down from your car itself. So there they have adopted to innovation. It is still a McDonald's. It is still a pizza corner. That's not a startup, but technology is helping them to scale. But a startup is completely different, which is rooted on innovation. So that is the difference. And the timeline for a startup is uncertain, iterative. What is iterative? It is repetitive. There are a lot of things. And it is fast moving. Whereas in traditional business, it is more predictable and there is steady growth. Both are valid. Ignite. This program helps you explore which path fits you. Ignite is the spark that we want to create. The idea, the thought that, hey, this is something that we should be experimenting. Right? That is what we want to target. And this is a quick comparison of two businesses. One is a Kirana store and one is a quick commerce startup. Right? One is a regular business and one is a startup. The Blinkits, the Swiggy, Instamarts are considered to be a startup, whereas your street and Kirana stores are regular businesses. And you can probably look into the parameters that we discussed in the earlier stage to get an idea as to why they are called a startup and why they are called a regular business. So now this is a quick thing. Which is a startup? A chai stall that opens 6 a.m. and is always packed. Is it a startup or a regular business?
Regular.
Okay. Is tea time a startup?
Yes, sir.
There's a question mark, right? So think how a regular business is now transforming into a scalable business, right? So it is yes or no if it tries to innovate and brings some systems. Second, an app that connects daily wage workers with contractors in real time. startup because it's an app. So the benchmark is the problem big? Are people willing to pay? Can you scale? Can you get repeated customers? If that fits in, then probably it's a startup. App is the technology that we are using to scale, right? But it has to make money and it has to have the ability to scale. A boutique clothing store with 3 outlets in Vizag. Again, it's similar to a chai store, right? Multi-centers, but can't be really called a startup. But there are some people who are making business from clothing as a startup. Who are those? Meesho, right? It's a startup. They have a clothing store, but on the net, they have so many people, customers across. So that's the difference what is between a regular store and a startup. And then a platform that helps farmers predict crop prices using satellite data. Is it startup? Is it making money? If it is making money, yes. If it is not, probably it's just an information dashboard, right? So making money is important. Solving a big pain problem for which the farmers are willing to pay repeatedly, right? And again, who is the competitor? Competitor could be any Google for weather predictions or any Raitu Bharosa Kendras for information. Why would they pay? If you are giving information on an app, on a smartphone that costs about 20,000, it's in English. It has to be in their native language. These are some of the things that you need to think through in solution building. So this is another important step in opportunity spotting. Okay, because we are all, if you want to take the path of entrepreneurship, we are looking at problems. We are looking problems as opportunities for growth. So how do you spot opportunity in a problem? So before looking for a brilliant idea, look for a real problem. And first, you notice the friction. Why this problem is arising? Because you need to understand the process. What frustrates you daily or people you know daily is the question that you can ask. First, to identify problems that you personally are facing or your family members are facing, because you can validate those things. If it is your own problem, you know insights into it. If it is between your family members, you can talk to them and then see if there are more numbers. Then, where do people waste time, money or effort? That's another question that you can ask. These are all the whys that are important for you to spot an opportunity. And what complaints keep coming up repeatedly? Because the assumption is, until and unless there is a friction, you cannot spot an opportunity. Until and unless that problem is recurring, it is not a startup idea. Until and unless the pain is so high, your solution will not create value. So for that, you need to have the ability to notice the friction. And for that, you need to see the world in a different way. You need to see the problem in a different way. There are certain occupational hazards that we call. If you approach a police guy, what he will do? He'll always look at you with suspicion. Even if you go with a complaint, he will say, "Arey, idiot, you said." That is an occupational hazard because he has been groomed, because he is moving around in a circle of people where people are naturally in that habit, right? So, if you have to spot an opportunity, first you need to practice it. What are the practices? You will learn. How to evaluate? And then these are the questions that will help you to identify the friction and then spot the opportunity. And then you look at your community. First, personal, family, and then you move to the community. What do local farmers or students or small shops struggle with? What services are missing in an area? What do people in AP need? All because you will have more opportunities to observe, more opportunities to validate your assumptions rather than you assuming what happens in Antarctica as a problem, right? You will not have access to it. So that is why we are saying first look for problems that you are facing or your family members are facing, and then go beyond, go to the community that you are in to spot opportunities and friction. And the third and the most important thing is ask. Don't assume. Okay? Your guess about a problem is a hypothesis, not a fact. We all learn mathematics, right? Trigonometry. There is a hypothesis and there is a assumption validation. So why it is being taught at that level is for us to get into this problem of having a hypothesis and seeing whether this, what do you call it, theorem or something, fits into the solution or not. So hypotheses need to be validated, for which you need to ask questions and get feedback. So second, real validation comes from real conversation. If you don't have conversation, then it is not. I might say that this Gen Z do not believe in God. That was my assumption. Okay? They don't go to temples. That was my assumption. But exams mundu roju chuste urlo unna anni gullu full. And another thing that I can relate to is 31st night. Right? Sampath Vinayak Gurudev. Ballu మీద వస్తారు. Just one day I witnessed it. Full on bus. వచ్చి సలా వచ్చి కట్టుకొట్టాడు, కింద పడిపోయాడు. నమస్తే స్వామి, హ్యాపీ న్యూ ఇయర్ అని వెళ్ళిపోయాడు. So Gen Z may be having a lot of habits, but they are religious also, right? If I don't observe this, if I don't go talk to them, then my assumption is totally wrong, right? Have real conversations, don't assume. So this is very, very important to spot the opportunities. So problem identification, friction identification, and the opportunity within it, these are some of the steps. And now we will talk about the Andhra University Entrepreneur Ecosystem, the beautiful university that we are all here. We all should be very proud of it. We don't realize it, what this university has done, has produced great scholars, great entrepreneurs. And now it is doing continuously to develop it. IE Cell is Innovation Entrepreneur Cell. That is your first point of contact for campus support, mentors and opportunities. IE Cell was what brought us to do this session today with us. We at Alco Partners were approached to give this knowledge gaining session. And then you have the Ignite program, the one which you are now participating. Your current program, 4 weeks of structured entrepreneurship learning, ending with a validated business idea. At the end of this 4 weeks, if you go through the exercise, which is you are not just listening to these sessions, but working between sessions, there is a good possibility that you will come up with a validated business idea. And if your validated business idea is so good, you can be part of the Proto Run, which is the next stage, next program that is coming in. And you will build early prototypes, do deeper market testing with the support from IESL and AHUB. What is AHUB? This is the place. We don't just have a conference room, but we also have desks, air conditioned, offered at a price that is a throwaway price. If I remember well, it is 2,500 per month, per chair, right? 2,500, you have a beautiful seat here to work and make use of all the support systems, meet lot of people and do. So that is what the AU Entrepreneur Ecosystem is offering to all of you. There can't be a better. Wow. No cost to you. If you want to build a student startup, this is all available for you free. No internet, no power charge, nothing. You can just have a validated business idea.
And they is providing 5 lakhs grant for students.
Grant. You know what grant is, you need not give it back. If you have a winning idea, AU is giving you 5 lakhs to experiment your idea. You need not go to your family members to ask for money. It is handed over to you to build your dreams, to live a life that you aspire for. If you don't aspire for it, that's a different story, right? So aspire for it, and then there are a lot of resources that are available. So the first program that you are part of it is a 4-week program to ignite the thought of entrepreneurship so that you come out with a validated business idea. And then it will lead you to a proto run for early type prototyping and user testing. What is prototype? I think most of you know, right? It is a miniature of your larger solution. It is called MVP, minimum viable product, which is less expensive, right? If you want to build a, say, 25-storied or 50-storied building, what you do is, you do your architectural design, and then you build a model, you display it. That is what is prototype. So the 5 lakhs that what Vinay is talking about is that money that is available for you to experiment and go to the prototype level. And the third, once you are ready with your MVP sort of a thing, which is if you are successful in the proto run program, then you can be accommodated in IESL and AHA. Even earlier you can be accommodated if you have a winning idea. So all this can happen from this process. So completing Ignite with a validated idea is your key to unlocking proto run and the full support of Innovation Entrepreneur Cell of Andhra University and the AHA. Okay, there can't be a better system than this. I had to really do a lot of things, spend a lot of money, take a lot of favors in order to find my first office. Here, it's all offered on a platter. And all you need to do is think differently, work hard, use your time effectively. And there are a lot of people who are willing to help without a penny that you need to spend. Okay, now you have worksheets before you. All of you have to fill that worksheets. That is the assignment, which is one problem you see in your life, something you have personally observed, big or small. This is to trigger the problem spotting or the opportunity spotting, which we talked about. Second, one person who inspires you as an entrepreneur. It could be anyone. You need to have a role model, right? And we are saying a role model who is an entrepreneur. You can probably start looking at it. And then one strength you would bring to in a team. It could be communication, technical, creativity, organization. What is your USP? Try to identify. And then one thing that worries you about entrepreneurship. In spite of we talking close to 3 hours about entrepreneurs, painting the rosy side of it, there may be still some worry things, right? What are those things? Just write it down. And the sheet that you have has a list of questions. Please fill that up. And you may have to submit it before you are leaving for the day. And the questionnaire will also have this, which is statement of intent that we talked about. What is that? I want to explore entrepreneurship because you have to fill the blank, right? And the problem I care about is so and so. I believe I can contribute by the skills that we set are unique to you. And one thing that I am unsure about is the fears that we talked in the earlier side. And I am here to find out. Right? It is just an exploration stage. But we want it as a statement of intent. And the questions that you are filling in will help you fill in that blanks. Okay? But try to be honest. There is no right or wrong answer because it is your individual experiences, thoughts. Let it be brief in just 4 sentences, which is I want to explore entrepreneurship, a problem I care about. I believe I can contribute by, and one thing that I am sure of. And then you will read it in the room, what that is. Right? Because you want to commit to it. So anyone who is ready with this can announce it and then sign off for the day.